Hello. Is it giving ASMR? Y'all, why ain't nobody tell me being a YouTuber was hard? Week 7, right? Hey, welcome back to my channel. I will try to make this as quick as possible. In my previous video, I spoke about transitioning from non-weight bearing to partial weight bearing, and in this video, I will continue to talk about that, including everything else, how transitioning with walking in my boot has been, doctor's appointments, and everything in between from weeks 7 to 9. All right, let's get into the video because my phone is about to die. So we gotta wrap it up. Okay. Okay, so week 7 was pretty decent. It wasn't too much different from week 6. The only thing was I was tasked to start partial weight bearing from 25% and increase to 50 and then 75% and then go completely 100% weight bearing by week 8. At least that was the protocol. Did it actually happen? Spoiler alert. No. It didn't. But I tried. Right? That's the thing that matters the most. I tried. I'm moving out. Okay, so basically I got to about 75% weight bearing in week 7, and then I was like, okay, I'm feeling a little confident. So I slipped off the one crutch. I Heisman the one crutch, and I started walking with one crutch. Boy, ugly. It was ugly. I was like, I don't think this isn't really how the other people had looked when they was walking with the one crutch. This ain't really how they looked. So I didn't know what I was doing wrong, but it was a little difficult to try to transition to weight bearing at all because I was just so scared, and mentally it was just, you just become kind of paranoid with this injury, and you never know what is going to trigger what point of pain. You don't want to re-rupture or step the wrong way and turn and twist and do something, and your physical body may be healed, but your brain is like, let's not do that. So it was pretty tricky mentally to transition from not weight bearing at all to weight bearing in the boot. But then once I started to get the hang of it, it was fine. So physically I was fine, but mentally, I just remember it was a really tough week, and I actually have a notebook that I use because I would write how I was feeling and just any physical or mental progress that I was making on that particular day. So I actually have a little excerpt from how I was feeling on the exact day that I wrote this, which was like at week 7. And I said, physically I feel fine, but mentally, yikes. And I said, woo, it's been tough. I just feel so defeated and exhausted, tired. I feel like I'm fighting and sinking into quicksand simultaneously. I just want to lay in bed all day. I don't want to eat. I don't want to talk to anyone, including God sometimes. I'm finding it hard to even open my mouth and pray. Everything feels so hard and so heavy. I don't feel like reading and writing most days. I just want to sleep until October. Oh my God. Mind you, it is August. And then I just ended it by saying, Lord, I need you. Please show up in ways that I can't and add your super to my natural. I'm not going to get emotional. I'm not going to cry. I'm a thug. I remember that day in particular, and I just have been having a really hard time mentally. And then when I read it back to myself too, I'm like, I am definitely depressed. So that's cool. Just not wanting to do any like daily functions or be around people or do things that usually make me happy. I don't feel like working out most days anymore, and that was like the thing that brought me a lot of joy. And I was so excited to be like, oh, even if I'm like partial weight bearing, I can get back to working out again, but I just haven't felt like it, and it's been just really hard. So Okay, next is week 8. Week 8 was better than week 7, slightly. Mentally, I think it was still just a really tough week, but physically, I was happier and able to finally make a little bit more progress because, drum roll please, I started physical therapy. Yay! I was really excited. And then, my expectations were like not really met because I remember my first PT appointment, I went and she looked at me and was like, "So what are we supposed to do?" And I said, "Huh?" "Babe, what do you mean?" And long story short, there was a serious lack of communication between my doctor's office and the physical therapy office. So the physical therapy folks didn't know where I was in my recovery journey, so they didn't know what to do with me once I got there. And literally all I did was use my crutches to show her that, like, how I've been walking. And she said that she would come up for an actual protocol for me the following week because she didn't really know what to expect, and there was just a big miscommunication. So that was a little bit disappointing, but I do remember that at the very least I was able to get someone else's eyes on my walking form. How's my walking form? What can I do to change it? And come to find out, I wasn't even putting nearly as much weight on my foot as I thought I was. So this whole time I'm like, 25% eat, 50% eat, 75% eating that girl up. No, I wasn't. I was not putting as much weight on my foot as I thought I was. So what she did was she actually put my foot on a scale, a measuring scale, and put my injured foot with the boot on there and told me to just press down as hard as I could and kind of mimic the amount of force or pressure that I've been using when I walk. And so I did it, and it was only like 30 pounds, 40 pounds the first time, and she was like, "How much do you weigh?" And I told her, I think I'm like somewhere between 170 and 175. And I told her, and she was like, "You're gonna have to put a lot more than 30 pounds because that's not 75% of your weight." And I said, so I put more weight, and it was like a little bit uncomfortable, but more just like mental. I was just kind of nervous to be putting that much weight on it. She was like, she just kept encouraging me, like, "You can do more, you can do more." And really, I just had to remind myself, like, okay, the protocol is there for a reason. Even though everyone's, case is individualized and each patient is different, I definitely understand that. However, they wouldn't have cleared me to start weight bearing if they didn't at least think that I was capable enough to try. And so I had to get out of my head of being like, I can't put that much weight on it because, like, if the doctor and the surgeons are telling you to, that means that you need to at least try and to start. And I think that's something I had to keep reminding myself of, to be like, I didn't make the protocol of myself. Like, it existed before me, and it's there for a reason, even if it's just like for guidelines sake. So I, put more force on it, and she was like, there you go. And the number started going up to 50 pounds, 60, 75 pounds, 80 pounds. And then I was like, okay, it wasn't painful. It was just uncomfortable because I wasn't used to it. So then when I got back home, I started practicing walking with a little bit more force because I was like, okay, now try to mimic the amount of weight that I used at the physical therapy office when I was at home. I just ended up giving myself personally like another week to get used to walking with one crutch and then eventually with no crutches, so that I could ease into things and then just not put so much pressure on myself mentally too, because it's a big transition, small wins, I guess. Week 9. Okay, week 9 was interesting because I think at this point, I usually have doctor's appointments every 2 weeks, but I would say after week 6, maybe, I think my doctor's appointments started to slow down in frequency. So they started doing them every 4 weeks or so, or something like that, instead of every week or every 2 weeks. This week, I essentially was like, okay, I'm so determined to ditch the crutches, or at least to fully ditch the one crutch, because I have been using one crutch, but I do occasionally pick that other one back up if I'm walking for a long distance, or if I'm going somewhere where I'm unfamiliar with the terrain. I'll just use the additional crutch just in case. I don't get home tonight. Okay. And when I'm at home, I try to walk short distances in the boot without any crutches. So if I'm going to the bathroom, if I'm picking up something from the kitchen really quickly, like that kind of thing, I'll ditch the crutches just so I can practice. It's a terrible, ugly hobble. It's awful, but it's better than nothing. So that's progress as well. I also decided to try something to make my transition into walking a little bit smoother. As I mentioned before, finances are not financing at the moment. Yeah. So because of that, I cannot afford the infamous Vacoped boot. If you don't know what the Vacoped boot is it Vacoped or Vacoped or Vacoped? It's British, so maybe it's Vacoped. Is that good? Does that sound like, is it giving Cockney? Is it giving Love Island season 12? I would like to recouple with this Vacoped boot because it has done me very well, and sadly though, I cannot afford it. Seriously though, I can't. So the price ranges that I've seen online have ranged anywhere from about $250 to like $500. And the reason why it's so expensive and it's so in demand is because it is apparently one of the only boots on the market at the moment that is specifically made for Achilles ruptures and Achilles related injuries. Whatever the case, I ain't got it. So I have the very regular, very basic, not made for an Achilles rupture boot from the local hospital down the street, up the block. But I noticed transitioning into full weight bearing now in week 9, I was like, okay, the regular boot that they give you for like ankle fractures or, the gout or whatever else they use this very basic boot for is not very specialized, so it doesn't really help the Achilles, and it's kind of flat, and so when you walk you kind of roll through. But these boots kind of make it a little bit difficult to do that because they're so stiff and they're so straight and flat at the bottom. So what I decided to do, since I cannot afford the Vacoped boot, is to buy a similar version that's very cheap on Amazon. A similar version to the boot that I already have, only one with a little bit more of a rock at the bottom, which will allow me to walk a little better. And I got it! Yay! I'll show it right here. So this boot I got off of Amazon for $40. Bless God. I can 1000% feel the difference. I can also make it a little bit more secure by pushing the little air pump in the front. And what this does is it squeezes the foot inside of the boot, and it brings a huge level of compression, and this makes me feel more secure. It makes me feel like the boot is conforming to the shape of my foot and my ankle, instead of in the other boot it just kind of felt loosey-goosey. So let's just say if the first boot that I was originally given by the hospital was rated a 1 out of 10, that one would be like a 3, like a smooth 3, not gonna lie. And if I had to rate this new boot, I would say like a 7. But beside that, week 9 has been pretty chill, nothing too crazy. Overall, weeks 7 through 9 haven't been super eventful. Well, I guess kind of eventful. I've been, again, sort of, doing my little 100% weight bearing walk to with short distances to the bathroom or to get something to drink from the fridge. So that feels a little better, to be able to be more independent. But I'm still not there 100% and not with full confidence, but that's okay. I know that it's gonna come. It's only been 1 week or so in PT, so I'm hoping that as physical therapy progresses, then my walking will also progress. And that's really what I'm looking forward to the most, because I don't have much else going for me right now. I know it'll all change, it'll all look up. I'm not worried about that in the long term, but just, you know, the day-to-day can be kind of tiring and frustrating. But I'm really happy to have a tribe of people around me, friends and family, people that care about me, you know, checking in and just being super helpful in whatever ways that they can. So with all of that said, I guess I will see you in my next video, and seriously, hopefully by then I'll be like fully weight bearing. Okay, yeah, I'm done. The Mandam's phone is about to die, you know. I'm gonna blow this popsicle stand and bye. What? Blow this popsicle?